This is a video review of the Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Deluxe Class Scorn figure. I really want to like this guy. His concept is really cool, but there are some problems with his execution that kinda bug me. And all of them kind of center around on his legs here. Now, one thing I do kind of like about this is that he has this transformation joint for exposing some robot mode detail down here. And what that allows is for it to look like his hip is up here more when it's actually down here. But it allows him to actually split his legs like this about and still make it look kind of natural. So I think that's neat. But what happens when we start moving his legs a lot is that this swing bar that they're on will just kind of come undone, which is really annoying. And that's the first problem, is that there's no solid way for it to just snap in there. Like I was hoping that there would be like little edges on the sides of this swing bar here that would just grip around this red piece. So that's kind of the first problem. The second problem is that if you don't have these things, if you have these things in the dinosaur mode position, he does not have enough of a heel to stand very well. So I always have those held back. And then also this rubber bit right here, I hate how this is rubber because it kind of ruins it, because like this sword right here is supposed to store in it. This is not the way the instructions tell you to store, but it's the only way I can get it to stay, because otherwise it just does not hook at all in there. I mean, I can try and it'll stay for a little while, but it'll eventually fall out. So what I'm doing is I'm making it so that this up here, which is a bit smaller in diameter, can actually squeeze around the handle well enough for it to kind of stay in place. So I'll pull that out for now, we'll look at it a bit later. But then also, because this thing is rubber, this tab right here is supposed to tab into here, which is supposed to help keep the dinosaur mode kept in place. But because it's rubber, it doesn't actually tab in very well. Like, you have to keep it held there for a really long time for the rubber to kind of fill out into the position, because otherwise it just does not hold in very well, and then it's just not a strong tab anyway. So there is another problem with the build. And then another problem with the build is that the shoulders of the robot motor are right here and here. And these spines or whatever on the Spinosaurus here, they're rubber and they tab into here, but because you can still move the shoulders, these things end up getting bent a lot, and that will sometimes force this back, which is part of the transformation. And then these things also don't, and they're not straight up and down, they're kind of at a bit of an angle. So I like what this guy's trying to do, but I feel like there are just so many tiny tolerances that quality control couldn't catch to make this guy work properly, but problems with his actual design that keep him from working as well as he might. So those are the problems I have with the beast mode. But the beast mode itself is actually still quite cool. He can look left and right like this. He has a very posable neck. His mouth can open, and I love how they got the sinew on the mouth there, so it actually looks like a real mouth, kinda. And he looks very intimidating like that. He's got these little itty-bitty posable arms here. His legs do have a fair amount of posability. They can go forward and back, in and out. They can bend at the knees here. Because I don't know the anatomy of this dinosaur, I don't know what actually would be anatomically appropriate for its legs to do that. They can rotate up here, and you can move this down as a heel. Like, I just prefer this as a heel. I just pretend it actually has 2 toes and then something back there. Unfortunately, no tail movement because it's tabbed into there. If you untap it, you can get something, but it always looks broken when you try it. So just better leave that tabbed into place. And that's about it. It is a neat robot mode, or a neat dinosaur mode when you are not having to deal with the problems, but its problems are numerous. Now, transformation of this guy seems like it'd be very simple, because shoulders, legs, head. It seems like it'd be simple, but it's actually complex enough to be interesting. So we'll start by taking these fins, pop them up, and rotate them to the back, and these will plug in down here. Pop it up, rotate it, plug it in down there. Then you will straighten out these legs. And one thing you can do now, but I don't do it, usually don't do it until later because it will collapse, is you can spread these out to give his legs a bit more bulk. But usually in the transformation, those will just get hit over and over again with my hands as I'm manipulating the guy, and then they end up being squished like that again. So I'll open those up again when we get to robot mode. Then you fold these down to the side. And then you'll take that swing bar, you'll swing it back. Then we'll take this piece here, and that will fill in the pelvis detail there. And then what we'll do is we will pop this section down here back, and this is where the transformation gets kind of cool. Hold on to his lower section and to his shoulders and rotate his lower body, and that will cause his upper body to shift up a little bit. Now force these onto his back, and it will reveal his head that we can then pull the rest of the way up. So that's very cool. I like how they do that. Unfortunately, because of that mechanism, he does not actually end up with a waist rotation. You can rotate it like this, but it's only 90 degrees. So, and also if you rotate it to the side, then this section becomes unlocked and you can, okay, so it's not doing it, but, I don't know if something's jammed. Oh, okay, yeah, the head was always keeping up, but if you rotate it to the side, you will unlock that mechanism, and it will be possible for the shoulders and stuff to come down. But if you keep it like this, then no matter what the head's doing, it's just not coming down. So that's why I recommend doing what the instructions tell you to do, which is to rotate this up into here, and that will lock the waist joint, and that will also lock the entire mechanism up here that keeps his robot mode in the correct posture. And then you can either fold these down here so he's grabbing his own butt, which it works pretty well. There's enough room for them down there, but they will on occasion bump into the legs. Or you can rotate them up here between the spine things on his back. There's not quite enough room for both of them, but they will stay out of the way very well if you put them up there. So that's usually what I do. And now we're most of the way done, because we've got the legs, the head, and we've got this arm done, which is his lance, which is actually kind of cool. Then you fold this down, rotate it around, open up his mouth, and that will give you a way to press his hand out here and then just close his mouth. The instructions tell you to keep it open, but I think that just looks kind of weird, and then you can see through his arm there. So I just close this here like that, and that works pretty well for me. And this is Scorn in his robot mode. And I actually do like this robot mode quite a bit. It is a very neat, knightly looking robot mode. I don't quite like how his neck is positioned, because his neck is, the stem is at an angle so that if you turn his head, he's like, he's not just looking straight at you, his head is tilted a little bit. So to compensate for that, you have to have him leaned way back, which doesn't quite look natural. So I don't quite like how the neck is positioned on this guy, but overall I do like his posture, kind of like how I was mentioning with Octane Bumblebee, how he has a very relaxed, confident posture when he's just standing. And here we have this knife again that normally should store in his tail, but for whatever reason mine does not. You can put this into his hand, and it's a very nice knife. Not quite a knightly weapon, I don't think, so it doesn't quite go with the knight theme as well as his weapon arm here does, but it is quite nice. Now, one thing I do want to mention about this hand here is that no matter what you do, this hand is going to look awkward, because it's like the arm should actually be entering here, but enters down here. So you can try and use this joint here to make it look better, but just nothing makes it work better. So it's a very weird hand. And that's one thing that I don't quite like about this guy. Anyway, for his articulation, the head can look side to side. It can look down a lot. It can look up a lot. It's a very articulate head. The shoulders go around 360. They go in and out, rotate above the elbow, bend at the elbow, and same articulation here, although you do get an extra joint here. That's kind of like a curling iron arm. And I like that you can have both on this guy, because curling iron arms, like where the fist is bent, is facing up when you bend the elbow, those have their place. It's just they're not as useful as a normal working elbow. So to have both of them is actually really nice, because you can get some kind of knightly poses there with him holding it like that. And then for his legs, they go forward, back, in, out, rotate above the knee, bend at the knee twice, and then you can also bend his toe down to help him have some balance. So he is overall a very articulate figure. I like his robot mode a lot, and the transformation is neat. I just wish that the dinosaur mode worked a bit better, because it's not my favorite mode of all time. So I do like this guy quite a bit. I do recommend him, but just know that the dinosaur mode is not perfect. So anyway, this has been a video review of Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Scorn. Yeah. I review Transformers, Power Rangers, Digimon, Macross figures, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. I've got some links down below, a Facebook link and some playlists. Check those out, and thank you for watching.